Welcome back to the Hustle and Hardwood podcast. Today we are joined by me, Liam, Jesse, Giovanni, and the Cavs radio play-by-play announcer, Tim Alcorn. Tim, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It's great to be with you guys. Thanks for the invite. I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's a huge
All right,
honor.
all right, we're gonna jump straight into the questions. You went from calling high school games for decades to stepping into the big leagues on Cavs radio play-by-play guy. What was that jump like?
It was interesting. You go from calling kids playing at the high school level to the greatest in the world who play the game of basketball, those guys in the NBA. And yet, like I tell young broadcasters all the time, it's not necessarily the level that you're calling. It's doing the best job you can possibly do, whether it's high school, whether it's college, whether it's NBA. You just have to call the game and do it as best as you can. So once I got over the nerves of the first couple of games being in an NBA arena rather than a high school gym, I just settled back into calling basketball, doing basketball play-by-play. And once I realized that you're going to do what you've always done, you're just doing it with better players, everything seemed to go smoothly.
Alrighty, Jesse, you got a question for him?
Yeah, I do. So you were just saying how the high school, how you transferred from calling high school games to NBA games. Now I understand that obviously NBA players are better than high school players, but but since you were calling games for high school, these must have been pretty good schools to call. So how much better are NBA players than high school players? What genuinely makes an NBA player an NBA player?
Wow, that's a great question because I did call every level of high school, though. Believe me, I saw a lot of bad high school basketball, but I saw some real good high school basketball as well. I saw guys that went on to play at the NBA level. I saw several of them. So, but the difference really is it's just the skill level, the athleticism. Guys at the NBA have worked so very, very hard to get where they are, but they were also blessed with some unbelievable just natural talent and God-given talent. And then they really work so hard at the game to get themselves to the next level, which for most guys is the college level. And then you've got to work even harder and you've got to dig in even deeper to be successful at the NBA level. When you think about it, 30 teams in the NBA and 15 guys on a roster, 12, and then you have the 3 two-way players. So you've got 450 guys playing NBA basketball. Those are probably the 450 best players on the planet. So they're really, really good. But what I think people tend to forget, guys, is that the work that they put in to get to that level. Yeah, there's a lot of natural ability, but hours and hours, hundreds, if not thousands of hours that they work each and every week and month to stay at that level, to be that good.
Wow, thank you.
All right, Joe.
Well, obviously, you've broadcasted a lot of games. So, what do you think is the most difficult thing to tell the fans, to communicate to fans during the broadcast?
Oh, man, that's a great question. My mentor was a gentleman by the name of Joe Tate, who did Cavaliers basketball for many, many years. And he's in the Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield. And one of the things that Joe always imparted on to me, and I try to share with young broadcasters, whether they're in high school or college or in a broadcasting school, whatever the case may be, is to be as vivid and be as descriptive as you can be with the call of the game. If you're a radio play-by-play guy, you have to keep in mind, you have to remember that the audience, for the most part, unless they've synced it up to their television, but for the most part, a radio audience can't see the game. They're relying on you to be their eyes and sometimes, obviously, their ears. So you have to be as descriptive as possible. Who has the ball? Where do they have the ball? How much time is on the shot clock? So it's being descriptive that's probably the biggest challenge. And then the other thing that goes with that, Joe, is the fact that again, most people are listening. They're not watching and listening at the same time. So if they're listening, they don't know the score.
Yeah.
They don't know the time. You have to constantly repeat the score and the time. You know, Cavs 22, Celtics 20, 3 minutes to go, first quarter. You just have to constantly say the score and the time because it's happened to all of us. It's happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to you guys. You're listening to a game and you're going, what's the score? What's the score? He hasn't said the score. The broadcaster hasn't said the score. So the biggest challenge is, again, be so descriptive that you want the listeners to be able to almost see the game, to feel like they're at the game. And then the second point would be score and time. They have to know where the game is as far as first quarter, second quarter, how much time is left in that quarter, and then what's the score.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Tim, this is your 7th season calling Cavs games. How has this team evolved since you first got the job, especially with the current core of Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen?
Oh, man. So the first year I called the Cavaliers was actually the COVID year. And so it was one of the most bizarre first years I think anybody could have, no matter what sport, no matter what league. And the Cavs were not very good. They were in a rebuilding phase. And so my first year, they won 19 games in that season. Now, we didn't play all 82 because of COVID, and they shut everything down. But, they weren't very good. In fact, there's only one guy left from that team when I started, and that's Dean Wade, actually, who came in as a two-way player, and he's still with the team. But I'll tell you what, I give a lot of credit. I mean, a ton of credit to the Cavs organization and the front office for slowly and very methodically piecing together this roster to turn it into an Eastern Conference Finals team this year, even though they got ripped pretty good by the Knicks. But turns out the Knicks did that to everybody. That's why they're the NBA champs. But to see our president of basketball operations, Kobe Altman, and he was our general manager. Now he's moved on to Philly. Mike Gansey, just step by step through the draft and through some shrewd trades and two-way signings. Like I mentioned, Dean Wade, young guard by the name of Craig Porter Jr. I mean, they've brought these guys in and they've built a great nucleus. So from where I started, last year, 64 wins, and then this season going to the Eastern Conference Finals. It's been an amazing journey, and but the Cavs aren't satisfied. I will say that as well. They are hungry. They are really, really hungry to bring a championship to Cleveland.
Yes. Speaking of so speaking of the playoffs and championships, how do you think that the Cavs with you have some big free agents going into this offseason this year? You have Braun, you have hopefully we keep Jose Alvarado, Mitchell Robinson. You have all these guys. What do you think is the best way for the Cavaliers to make that push to the finals with such a league with so many elite teams right now?
Yeah, Jesse, I think that's what Kobe Altman and head coach Kenny Atkinson, I think that's what they're doing right now, really doing a deep dive into the roster, and not only into the Cavs roster, but to see what do we need to do to match up against the New York Knicks team that's now the NBA champions, or whoever else they feel would be one of the real top dogs as far as the Eastern Conference, be it Boston or whoever it may be. So that's how you have to build the team, and they're close. They're very, very close. They made it to the Final Four of the NBA. Again, they got smoked by the Knicks, but in retrospect, the Knicks just had an incredible playoff run. So you look at this Cavalier team, I don't think they're going to make any big, huge, swooping changes. I think they're going to keep their core together as far as Donovan Mitchell and James Harden in the backcourt. Keep in mind, they didn't get Harden until there were about 20, maybe 25 games left in the season. And so I think they really want to see what him and Donovan Mitchell could do with a full preseason and training camp and a full regular season. They've got outstanding big men in Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. So I think there'll be changes around the periphery. But when you're a Final Four team, I don't think you go in and just take a sledgehammer to it. I think they're going to methodically look at it and say, what are some things we can do to make ourselves better and to even up, with the Knicks and the other top teams in the East. But we were in the Final Four, so there isn't anything that we really need to just blow up per se.
Joe?
Thank you.
Well, you've seen a lot of Cavs games, obviously, 'cause you've been there since 2020. What player on any Cavs team so far that you've been a part of has changed your opinion after watching him so much?
Man, you guys are asking good questions. Changed my opinion. I'd have to think about that one, guys. I would say, I really liked him before he got to the Cavaliers, but you really appreciate how good he is as a player once you watch him night in and night out, which you alluded to. Joe, I'm gonna go with Max Strus. When I had,
Max Strus.
you watch him play, with Miami, and he was kind of that whirling dervish sort of guy, and brought a lot of energy, but you don't realize all the other things that he does on the floor to help a team win. The hustle plays, the diving for loose balls, how good of a defender he is. There's things about Max Strus's game that until you see him night in and night out, you don't realize how special he is. Now, I could also say the same for Donovan Mitchell, because when he was with Utah, yes, he was an all-star player, but first of all, he was playing for Utah, and so that's not a knock on the Jazz, but they don't get a lot of national television. You didn't see him on TNT or ESPN because they're in Salt Lake, not exactly a major, metropolitan area for ratings. So I only saw Donovan Mitchell a few times a year. So when he got here, man, you realized how special he is. But you knew he was an all-star player. But to see him night in and night out, that's an absolute treat as well.
Alrighty, Tim. Outside of basketball, you are unfortunately a Buffalo Bills fan, and you are a dad. How do you balance the family life with the grind of an NBA season?
Well, first you threw the hammer down on being a Bills
Oh,
fan. Come on now. There's nothing wrong with being a Bills fan. I
Not
could
at all.
be sitting here wearing my Bills hat right now, and I got a few of them. But no, my wife and I are blessed. We have 4 children. They're all adult children, and to be honest with you guys, I think I was fortunate in the timing of when I got the Cavs job. Because all 4 of our children had moved out of the house at that point. They were on their own. And so balancing home life versus the NBA life, there are still challenges, don't get me wrong. But I didn't leave for a long road trip with 4 young kids still in the house with my wife. That would have been really, really difficult. So, it was hard to get an NBA job so late in my career. But the good news is my kids were adults. They were out of the house. So it really wasn't imperative for me to be here. I didn't miss school activities and that sort of thing. So it worked out pretty well in the long run. And but yeah, it's still nice to get back home and sleep in your own bed and visit with the neighbors when you do that. But because that is the most difficult part of the NBA. It is the road. And I know you shared with me before we got started here that you're talking or have talked to other NBA guys. And I think they would all agree. The road is hard. It's a really challenging time when you're visiting, 5 cities in 9 days or whatever the case may be. So it gets tough. But again, as I mentioned when we first started, the reward is you get to see the greatest basketball players in the world every night on your job. And that's a pretty cool thing.
yeah. Speaking of that grind, how so this is a 2 kind of question, kind of 2-1. So first one is earlier in your career, you were more of a high school play-by-play announcer. So how did you never give up on getting the NBA job early in your career? And the second one is how do you deal with the grind of being on the road for so long throughout the year?
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, I had gone for an NBA job about 7 or 8 years before I got it in 2019, and I wasn't one that was constantly chasing a job, only because of the fact that I shouldn't say only because of the fact, but the primary fact being that my wife and I did have 4 young kids at home, and so I didn't want to go here for a year or two and then go somewhere else for a year or two and then go somewhere else to try to climb my way up the ladder. And I thought having a stable home for the 4 kids was going to be a little more important, or a lot more important, than chasing a big time basketball job. So I love doing high school basketball, and to be honest with you, I still love doing it. I go out during the course of the season, during the Cavs season, and for our affiliates on the Cavs network that carry high school basketball, I'll do a game with them because I still love doing high school sports. In fact, over the weekend, I was doing high school baseball here in Ohio for the Final Four for the state championship games, and I had a blast. So yeah, I really hadn't had my sights set on an NBA job. There were a set of circumstances that transpired, which the Cavaliers had to make a decision very quickly when I did get hired. And they knew my work, and they were familiar with me personally because the station where I worked at was just outside of Cleveland. So there were some relationships there. So really, that just turned out to be in the right place at the right time. And insofar as how do you handle that grind? You just know you have a job to do. You've got to get your rest. I'm a little bit older, so I don't see all the all the hot spots in every city that we travel to. I pretty much hunker down in the hotel room and do a lot of prep work and go over my notes and just try to stay as rested as you can, because that's the biggest thing with that travel is the fact that you're on and off planes, you're getting into hotels very, very late. And so your body, the sleep cycle really gets interrupted. And that's the one thing you have to keep an eye on. So with that, you just try to get as much rest as you can.
Thank you.
Mary Joe, you got a question?
You mentioned being on the road. How do you prepare for a game if it's late at night and you got there at around like 2, 3 in the morning?
Yeah, no, it's a great question because, well, first of all, you do try to prepare a game or two ahead. Not that on game day for the opponent that night, you're still not digging into notes because there's always injury updates or a stat update or whatever the case may be. So, but I don't start prepping for a 7:00 game at 5:00 that afternoon. You have to prep. And more often than not, guys, and you'll learn this as you're going through your career, or perhaps even some of the things that you've studied or been at camps about or have talked to other broadcasters about, you'll learn that you won't use a ton of what you bring in as far as your preparation, but it's so much better to be over prepared because you don't know what you're going to need. I may have 5, 6, 7 notes on a player that doesn't even get into the game. But if he does get in the game, I better have those notes ready. I better have that information ready. So, I prep for hours before a game. I mean, I'll get up, walk around a little bit, or grab something to drink or whatever. But I'm usually in front of my notes more often than not, all day on a game day, and even on off days, looking ahead to that next opponent.
God, that sounds fun but hard. I feel like
It is. No, listen. Anybody that ever says, "Oh, it's an easy gig," it's not. It's challenging. It's hard. I will also say it's a ton of fun. Even though the Cavs got beat by the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals, calling those games at Rocket Arena and Madison Square Garden when the place is just roaring and you're seeing the two best teams in the Eastern Conference just wage these battles. I mean, that's fun. That's a lot of fun. And It's it's the most enjoyable job you can have. Now there's work that goes into it, mostly beforehand. But once that ball goes up, and the game's being played, it's really really enjoyable.
Alrighty, so we're all gonna ask one more question, then we're gonna go to the next segment. So I'm gonna ask a question about something that probably changed the Cavs' trajectory for a long time, the Donovan Mitchell trade. So when the Cavs traded for Donovan Mitchell in 2022, what was your initial reaction?
Oh, I thought it was wonderful. I mean, like I said, I hadn't seen per se Donovan Mitchell a lot, but was certainly well aware of the talent level and the multiple All-Star appearances. And one of the things that I said when the trade was made was, again, you gave up a lot. You gave up 3 number 1 draft picks. You gave up Colin Sexton, Lowry Markkanen, and then the Cavaliers' number 1 draft choice that year. Why does his name just escape me right now?
It was Ochai
Ochai
Agbaji.
Agbaji. Yeah, Ochai Agbaji. So they gave up Agbaji, Sexton, and Markkanen. Well, Agbaji had never played a game with the Cavs. He was a draft choice. Sexton had missed a ton of games the year before with an injury. He had only played in like 5 or 6 games. So the only player you had given up that had really contributed to the Cavs' success the year before was Lowry Markkanen, and he's an outstanding player. But to get a Donovan Mitchell, you're going to have to give up a really good player. So the Cavs gave up Markkanen, and again, Sexton, a solid player, but he hadn't played a whole lot the year before, and then you really didn't know with Agbaji. So, I was all in on the deal, and I still am. I think Donovan Mitchell is one of the best players in the NBA. He's an all-NBA guy.
Mhm.
So when you can bring that type of talent and that type of leadership and citizen, he's a great locker room guy. He's a great leader on this basketball team. So not only does he have talent, but he has all those other things on the periphery that can help your team as well.
Alrighty, Jesse, any last thoughts?
Yeah, so I know we're talking about basketball right now, but I have something to say on the football side. So a couple years ago, there was a game, not the 13-second game, but the one, I think maybe not the one actually have, like a little. So the most recent Chiefs Bills playoff game, there was a controversial call that shouldn't have been. They just don't like the fans just don't like the Chiefs.
It was a
and that's what
catch. It was a catch.
that's not even the one I'm talking about. There's multiple. So
there's multiple, all right, Jesse. You don't have to rub it in on me. But go ahead.
It was fourth. I'll paint the picture just to remind you. 4th down. Chiefs. The Chiefs. I think were down.
Josh Allen had a first down.
It was a
No,
first
he
down.
didn't.
I agree.
I don't think it was a first down.
It was
It
the
was
first
not
down.
a first down.
Yeah, it
not.
was.
I
Yes,
don't
it
know.
was.
It was a first down.
It's a first down, and then if they give them the first down like they should have, and if they had marked the ball properly like they should have, the Bills go on to beat the Chiefs in that game. But no, another crushing, just soul-ripping defeat for the Buffalo Bills.
And that's an if. I think if Josh Allen got the front end, if the refs put the ball after the first down, because if the Josh Allen got the first down, then they would have beat the Chiefs. But the Chiefs defense with Chris Jones is so good that we beat the Bills.
Okay. Well, we'll have this conversation another day, Jesse.
Yeah,
We'll
go on for
look
hours.
back on all of the gut-wrenching losses that the Buffalo Bills have had in the playoffs. Thanks for bringing that up, buddy.
All right, Joe, any last thoughts?
I actually have 2 questions. What is something about this current Cavs teams that reminds you of former championship teams or great teams?
Man, like I said, you guys have asked some great questions. If you go back through NBA history, it's a process to win a championship. Very, very rarely does a team just go from being a non-playoff team to a conference final team or an NBA champion. And there always seems to be a team in front of them that they have to beat, that they have to get through. And then finally one year they break that door down. So I don't know personnel wise if I can say, yeah, the Cavs roster wise remind me of this team. But it seems as though, and it goes back long before you guys were born, that Philadelphia had to get by Boston, and then Chicago had to get by Detroit. And I mean, it just is a constant thing in the NBA where there's another team that you're chasing, and it's step by step. I think San Antonio is going to go through this. They're going to be back, and they're going to win it. I mean, they're that good. The Knicks last year got to the Eastern Conference Finals, got beat by Indiana. They had to get past the Eastern Conference Finals. And so I think the Cavs are on that trajectory where, it's hard. Believe me, it's hard as an organization. It's hard as a player. It's hard as a broadcaster that you're getting closer. You're getting closer, but you got to find a way to knock that door down. But I think they're close to doing that. So that's what reminds me of other teams, because other teams have had to go through this where you just get close, and it's frustrating. But man, once you finally get there, the reward is just unbelievable.
Okay, so Tim, I did just watch the playback. It was not a first down. It was not a first down.
It is a first down. I agree.
It was not.
It's a first down.
I'll
Okay,
tell you
so
what. I'll tell you what. In a little bit, in the near future, I suggest that if Mr. Alcorn's okay with it, we'll have him back and we'll have a special debate episode about the Chiefs-Bills recent playoff games.
All right. Well, I'll be sitting here with my Bills hoodie, my Bills hat. I may even have a Bills mug to take a little sip of tea out of now and then. You're on. You're on.
All right. Yeah,
Okay,
we'll watch clips back with screen sharing, and we will find the truth.
All right, guys. That's a deal. I'll do it.
Okay, Tim, we're gonna move on to our next segment, which is Cleveland Cavaliers trivia. How well do you know the Cavs?
Some, but you got to remember they've been around for 50-something years, so I don't pretend to know everything.
Okay.
I'm a little nervous on this. Okay.
All right. I'm gonna ask you 5 questions and then a bonus question. Okay. All right, get ready. These are pretty difficult.
Yeah. Okay,
All right.
then.
All right. The first question is which Cavalier was selected with the number 1 overall pick in the 1986 NBA draft?
Brad Doherty.
That is correct. It is Brad Doherty.
One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. Great guy.
All right, second question. What was the name of the Cavaliers team that made the franchise's first deep playoff run in 1976?
Oh, that's very well known. And my broadcast partner for the first 7 years, he's retiring now, but he was a part of that team. The Miracle of Richfield.
That is correct. It was the Miracle at Richfield. Okay, number 3. Who holds the Cavaliers franchise record for most games played?
Wow. You got me thinking of some long-time veterans. Most games played. Boy, I should know that one. Most games played. I'm trying to think of who had a long career with the Cavaliers.
Do you want multiple choice options? There are some multiple choice options. Okay.
Sure.
So, all right, we have A, LeBron James, B, Austin Carr, C, Anderson Varejao, and D, Zydrunas Ilgauskas.
Well,
This is a hard one.
I guess I'll go with the obvious. I'll go with LeBron.
That is unfortunately incorrect. It is D, Big Z.
Oh, it
Really?
is.
It's
Wow.
Big Z.
Okay. Well, he certainly, then he earned that because he had some unfortunate injuries in his career that kept him out like 2 or 3 full seasons. So, but Zydrunas is a franchise icon, just a great guy. That's interesting. Okay. I'm going to tuck that one in my memory bank.
Alrighty, next question. Who was the Cavaliers head coach when they won the 2016 NBA championship?
That's easy.
Tyronn Lue.
It is Tyronn Lue. Alrighty,
Ooh.
fifth question before we move on to the last one. Before LeBron James, who was the last Cavalier to be selected for an All NBA first team?
Wow.
That's a hard question, Leo.
Before LeBron, I'm going back to the Fratello years. Maybe. Well, I'll give you two. Maybe Price or Doherty.
It is one of those two. You got to pick one.
You can give him the benefit of the doubt. Just
Doherty.
give him the.
Doherty's. And I love Brad. He's a great guy. His career ended early, though. He had a back issue. I'll go with Mark Price.
It is Mark Price.
Yeah.
Hey.
All right.
Okay, so the final bonus question. The Cavaliers acquired the draft pick that became Kyrie Irving from which team?
The Brooklyn Nets.
Oh.
That is incorrect.
Oh no.
It is the Los Angeles Clippers.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
Oh.
You're right. I believe that was that the Baron Davis deal.
Yes, that was the Baron. There's Baron Davis deal.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, that was our final question of the interview. Thank you so much, Tim, for being on the podcast with us and doing an interview with us. It was a pleasure.
It was
Thank
great
you.
with you guys. It's so
Thank
cool
you.
to see young men interested and involved with a career somewhere down the line in sports broadcasting and play-by-play. And I look forward to the return trip when we talk
Yeah.
Buffalo Bills and Kansas City Chiefs.
I'm for it. We will do it.
All right, guys.